Have you ever had that strange feeling, that moment when you're in a room full of people, yet somehow feel completely alone? Not because of anything anyone said or did, but because of something deeper, something you can't quite put your finger on. What if I told you that some of history's greatest minds figured out exactly why this happens? That nearly 200 years ago, a philosopher named Arthur Schopenhauer discovered something so profound about intelligence that it explains not just why smart people often feel isolated, but why society itself has a hidden resistance to intelligence that no one wants to talk about. You see, we live in a world that claims to celebrate intelligence. We put Einstein on posters, we quote Leonardo da Vinci, we tell our children to study hard and become brilliant. But there's a dark irony here that Schopenhauer uncovered, something that explains why the smartest person in the room is rarely the most popular, why genuine intelligence often leads to solitude, and why being truly smart might be the loneliest gift you could receive. What Schopenhauer discovered wasn't just another theory about social dynamics. It was a fundamental truth about human nature that's playing out in your life right now, in your workplace, in your relationships, even in those subtle moments of disconnection you feel but can't explain. And once you understand what he found, you'll never look at intelligence or your own experiences the same way again. But to truly understand this, we need to go back to a cold morning in Germany, 1820, when a young philosopher was about to discover why intelligence itself becomes a mirror that society can't bear to look into. Picture a young philosopher, Arthur Schopenhauer, walking through the crowded halls of the University of Berlin. The year is 1820, and he's about to do something that would seem almost absurd. He deliberately schedules his lectures at the exact same time as Georg Hegel, the most celebrated philosopher of his day. While Hegel's halls overflow with eager students, Schopenhauer sits in near-empty rooms, watching, thinking, observing a pattern that would take him decades to fully understand. But Schopenhauer wasn't bitter about his empty lecture halls. Instead, he became fascinated by a question that had never been properly asked. Why do people consistently choose comforting mediocrity over uncomfortable truth? It wasn't just about philosophy. He saw this pattern everywhere he looked. Living modestly off his inheritance, Schopenhauer had something rare, the freedom to observe society without needing its approval. And what he saw changed everything we thought we knew about intelligence and social dynamics. He noticed that the truly intelligent people around him weren't just randomly ending up alone. There was a systematic reason for their isolation, a pattern so consistent it couldn't be coincidence. Think about your own life for a moment. Have you ever noticed how the deepest conversations often happen one-on-one, but add more people to the room and suddenly everyone sticks to small talk? Have you ever held back a thought, not because it was wrong, but because you knew it would make others uncomfortable? Schopenhauer saw these same patterns playing out in every social circle, every institution, every gathering. But here's where it gets interesting. Most people assume intelligent individuals end up alone because they're socially awkward, are arrogant, or just too focused on their thoughts. Schopenhauer discovered something far more profound, a truth about human nature that explains why intelligence itself triggers a unique kind of social resistance, one that has nothing to do with how kind, humble, or socially skilled you are. In fact, recent research has confirmed exactly what Schopenhauer observed through pure insight. Brain imaging studies have revealed something remarkable about what happens in people's minds when they encounter superior intelligence, something that explains why intelligence creates a special kind of threat, unlike any other form of human excellence. But before we uncover that discovery, we need to understand exactly what Schopenhauer saw in those empty lecture halls, because it's the same thing happening in your workplace, your social circles, and every room you enter where your intelligence might shine a little too bright. Here's the rising action section, 4 to 8. What Schopenhauer discovered in those quiet halls of Berlin reaches far deeper than most psychological insights. He noticed that intelligence creates a unique kind of social tension, one that modern science has only recently begun to understand. Think about how we react to other forms of excellence. When someone is wealthy, we might feel envious, but we can rationalize it. Maybe they got lucky. Maybe they had connections. When someone is beautiful, we can appreciate it from a distance, like admiring a painting. Even physical strength gets a kind of respectful acknowledgement. But intelligence does something different to us entirely. Modern neuroscience has revealed something fascinating about this phenomenon. When people encounter someone significantly smarter than themselves, their brains light up in a unique way. The amygdala, our threat detection center, activates as if facing a physical threat. It's not just metaphorical when people say intelligence makes them uncomfortable. Their brains are literally experiencing it as a form of danger. But here's where Schopenhauer's insight becomes truly profound. He realized that intelligence doesn't just threaten our social status, it threatens our very sense of self. When a wealthy person enters a room, they might make others feel poor. When a beautiful person arrives, they might make others feel plain. But when an intelligent person joins a conversation, they make others question not just their relative position, but their entire understanding of the world. Imagine you're playing chess, believing you're quite good at it. Then someone sits down and beats you in 10 moves, showing you dozens of possibilities you never even considered. The discomfort you feel isn't just about losing, it's about suddenly realizing how much you didn't know you didn't know. That's what intelligence does in every conversation, every interaction, even when the intelligent person isn't trying to show their intelligence at all. Schopenhauer observed this pattern repeating everywhere he looked. In universities, where profound ideas were simplified until they lost their meaning. In social gatherings, where deep conversations were subtly steered toward comfortable superficiality. In artistic circles, where mediocre works received more praise than challenging masterpieces. The pattern was always the same: society finding ways to protect itself from the discomfort of genuine intelligence. But what makes this dynamic so fascinating is that it operates almost entirely beneath our conscious awareness. The intelligent person doesn't have to say a word about their intelligence. They don't have to act superior or make others feel small. Their mere presence, their way of thinking, their natural perspective becomes like a mirror, reflecting back to others all the thoughts they could be thinking, all the questions they could be asking, all the depths they could be exploring. Here's the first climactic point section, 8 to 12. This is where everything Schopenhauer discovered comes together in what he called the mirror effect of intelligence. It's not just that smart people make others feel intellectually inferior. It's that intelligence itself becomes a reflection, showing people all their unexplored potential, all their unconsidered questions, all their comfortable assumptions they'd rather not examine. Every time an intelligent person speaks, they unknowingly hold up this mirror. When they analyze a problem more deeply than others, when they see connections nobody else noticed, when they ask questions that never occurred to the group, they're not trying to show off. They're simply being themselves. But that authentic expression of intelligence becomes a reflection that makes others unconsciously confront their own intellectual limitations. The truly fascinating part? This happens even when the intelligent person remains completely silent, because intelligence isn't just about what you say, it's about how you perceive, how you think, how you engage with ideas. It's visible in your eyes when others make shallow assumptions. It shows in your expression when you see the flaws in an argument no one else is questioning. You become a living, breathing reminder of the intellectual depths others aren't exploring. Think about what happens in most social gatherings. People discuss the weather, share simple opinions, repeat commonly accepted ideas. It's comfortable. It's safe. Now imagine someone gently questioning those assumptions, suggesting deeper perspectives, or simply showing through their responses that they're thinking on a different level. Watch how quickly the energy in the room changes. This mirror effect plays out differently for men and women. For intelligent men, the rejection often comes as direct confrontation or subtle exclusion, but intelligent women face a double bind that Schopenhauer observed with remarkable clarity. Society celebrates beauty in women while simultaneously growing uncomfortable with female intelligence. An intelligent woman often faces the impossible choice between being liked and being respected, a dynamic that modern research shows still persists today. The most remarkable aspect of this mirror effect is that it operates independently of the intelligent person's intentions. You don't have to act superior. You don't have to correct others or showcase your knowledge. Your intelligence itself becomes the mirror, and people's reactions to their reflection have nothing to do with your behavior, and everything to do with their own relationship to intellectual depth. This is why you'll often hear phrases like, "they think they're so smart," about people who have never claimed to be smart at all. It's why the most popular person in a group is rarely the most intelligent one. It's why deep thinkers often find themselves naturally gravitating towards solitude, not because they prefer to be alone, but because society unconsciously pushes them there. And this brings us to the strangest paradox Schopenhauer ever observed, one that perfectly explains why society today seems more resistant to intelligence than ever before. Every civilization claims to value intelligence. We build universities, fund research, celebrate scientific breakthroughs. Yet simultaneously, we create social structures that systematically isolate and resist the very intelligence we claim to prize. Consider how we treat intellectual giants throughout history. We put Newton on pedestals now, but during his lifetime, he was notorious for his lack of friends and social connections. Einstein's theories revolutionized physics, yet his teachers called him a fool, and his early papers were rejected. Marie Curie made groundbreaking discoveries in radioactivity, but the scientific establishment repeatedly tried to exclude her, not just because she was a woman, but because her brilliant insights threatened established thinking. This paradox plays out in every field, in every era, but it's arguably even more visible in our modern world. Look at today's tech companies. They claim to want innovative thinkers, yet their cultures often punish those who challenge established ways of thinking. Universities say they seek brilliant minds, but watch how quickly they silence voices that question academic orthodoxy. Social media platforms theoretically allow anyone to share ideas, yet complex thoughts get buried while simplified. Comfortable content goes viral. What makes intelligence uniquely threatening in a way that other forms of superiority aren't? Schopenhauer realized something profound. Intelligence is the only form of human excellence that can't be controlled or predicted. You can regulate wealth through laws. You can contain physical strength. You can even manage beauty standards through social conventions. But you can't control what a truly intelligent person might think, question, or discover next. This unpredictability creates a deep social anxiety. In corporate settings, it's often disguised as concerns about culture fit or team dynamics. In educational contexts, it's hidden behind phrases like staying focused on the curriculum or maintaining classroom harmony. In social situations, it's masked by subtle exclusion or the redirection of conversations toward more comfortable topics. The more intelligent you are, the more likely you've experienced this tension without fully understanding it. Perhaps you've learned to hold back in meetings, to simplify your language in conversations, to nod along with surface-level discussions while keeping your deeper thoughts to yourself. You might have even started to question whether your intelligence is more of a burden than a gift. But what Schopenhauer discovered wasn't just a diagnosis of society's relationship with intelligence. It was a key to liberation. Understanding this mirror effect changes everything about how you experience your own intelligence and navigate the social world around you. First, recognize that the social friction you experience isn't your fault. When others react uncomfortably to your intelligence, they're not reacting to anything you've done wrong. They're reacting to their own reflection. This simple realization lifts an enormous psychological burden. You're not socially awkward. You're not too intense. You're not doing anything wrong by being who you are. Think back to every time you dimmed your light to make others comfortable. Every time you simplified your language, held back an insight, or pretended not to see the deeper implications of a discussion. While there's wisdom in choosing your moments, there's profound freedom in knowing that others' reactions to your intelligence reflect their relationship with themselves, not your social skills. Schopenhauer's insight reveals something even more powerful. Intelligence only appears as a threat when we treat it as a measure of human worth. The most successful intellectual giants in history found ways to transform their intelligence from a mirror that threatens into a window that invites. Take Richard Feynman, the brilliant physicist who became beloved not by hiding his intelligence, but by using it to help others see the wonder in everything around them. This is the profound truth that Schopenhauer eventually realized. Intelligence doesn't have to isolate you. The same depth that can create social friction can also forge the deepest human connections. When you find the right people and context, the same sensitivity that makes you aware of superficial conversations also allows you to create spaces for genuine intellectual exchange. Modern research has actually validated this approach. Studies show that while intelligence can create initial social barriers, it also enables the formation of deeper, more meaningful relationships. The key isn't to hide your intelligence, but to transform how you carry it, not as a badge of superiority, but as a tool for connection, understanding, and shared exploration. Think about what this means for your life. Every social situation where you felt out of place, every conversation where you held back, every moment of isolation, these weren't failures of social integration. They were signals pointing you toward your authentic path, toward the people and places where your intelligence can flourish without constraint. Here's the resolution section, 1800 to 2000. The truth is, your intelligence isn't a curse. It's a gift that requires wisdom to carry. Every great mind throughout history had to learn this delicate balance. The same intelligence that can create distance can also bridge divides, spark inspiration, and create profound human connections. Remember what we learned from Schopenhauer's journey. He started as a lonely lecturer in empty halls, but his insights have connected millions of thinking minds across centuries. His understanding of intelligence's social dynamics didn't make him bitter, it made him wise. And now, 200 years later, his wisdom offers us a path forward. When you understand that your intelligence naturally acts as a mirror, you can choose when and how to reveal its depths, not to hide who you are, but to create spaces where genuine exchange becomes possible. You can learn to read rooms, gauge receptiveness, and find those precious moments where deeper thoughts can flourish. Most importantly, you can stop carrying the weight of others' reactions. Their discomfort isn't your responsibility. Their reflection in the mirror of your intelligence isn't something you need to manage. You're free to be exactly as intelligent as you are, while being strategic about how you express it. In a world that increasingly settles for surface-level engagement, your ability to think deeply is more valuable than ever. Every major advancement in human history came from someone who dared to think beyond the comfortable, to ask harder questions, to see what others couldn't or wouldn't see. That's not going to change. So next time you feel that familiar isolation, remember, you're not alone. You're part of a lineage of minds that stretches back through history, minds that felt the same tensions, faced the same resistance, and ultimately found their way to make profound impacts on the world. Your intelligence isn't just a personal trait, it's a torch passed down through generations of deep thinkers, each finding their own way to light up the darkness. This is your invitation to carry your intelligence proudly, wisely, and with purpose, to find your tribe of fellow deep thinkers, to create spaces where intellectual depth is celebrated, not feared, to transform the mirror of your intelligence into a window through which others might glimpse new possibilities. Because in the end, the world doesn't just need intelligence. It needs intelligent people who understand how to carry their gift. And now that you understand what Schopenhauer discovered, you can be one of them. If this video resonated with you, share your experiences in the comments below. How have you navigated the social dynamics of intelligence in your own life? And don't forget to subscribe for more insights into the hidden patterns that shape our world. Until next time, keep thinking deeply and carrying your intelligence with wisdom.